All right, looks like we are live. So, welcome everyone. I'm here today with another Live on Eigenlayer. We're talking with another really great team building cool stuff for developers in Web3. And without further ado, Nitya from Capsule, can you please give us an introduction to yourself and maybe a little bit about the company?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, happy to be on here. Thanks for having me. I'm Nitya. I'm the founder of Capsule. A little bit about me. I studied computer science and math, worked in fintech for some time afterwards. And in that process, learned a lot about how kind of open financial systems might help have more equal access, better outcomes for people. And that was really what brought me down the crypto rabbit hole. And so in 2017, I joined the Celo protocol core team, initially as a smart contract dev, and then later on leading product and working a lot on things like stablecoin transfer, stablecoin payments. A lot of what led to the founding of Capsule was really seeing a lot of the ways in which a self-custody primitive would help unlock bigger and better use cases for crypto. When we're still dealing with seed phrases, or we're still dealing with a lot of these like more difficult to use barriers, or these like complete loss of fund type of cases, it becomes really hard for people to trust crypto rails and to actually trust that their money will be safe or that their funds will be safe. And so what Capsule does is we provide tools for developers and users to create and access cross-app embedded wallets. I can go into a lot of what that means, but that's at a high level what we do.
What is a cross-app embedded wallet? I guess might be a good place to start. But yeah, we're going to be going into a lot more as well for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I like to break down the wallet space is a couple different categories. So we started out, I mean, before everyone likes to talk about like before we had MetaMask, and that is the old like original wallet, but it actually goes back further than that. In the very original kind of Bitcoin custody days, people were either using paper wallets or they were using public-private key pairs generated on a laptop or another computer device, and we've evolved from there to, as there's been more and more to do on chain, we now have the set of kind of what I like to call external wallets. And so this is products like MetaMask, Rainbow, Zerion, the extensions, the mobile apps that many of us came into the space with. These products are really great for a couple of things. One, they're really great ways to see all of your balance history, all of your portfolio, like everything that you have. They're also really easy to take across different apps. So if you kind of onboarded to one app, you can kind of bring that identity with you to another application as well. And a lot of us had that really magical moment of whenever we see a crypto connect wallet interface now, and you have a wallet, it's really simple. And so I think external wallets, especially today, get a bad rap, but there's a lot of really great things about them. And so when we talk about cross app, it's really this like magical property of these crypto wallets of you can have assets that are on chain, and because they're on chain, you can bring them with you anywhere, and you uniquely can control what you do with them. And so that's the cross app part. And then the embedded part is kind of a nod to embedded wallets. And embedded wallets have really, I think, changed what we expect in terms of crypto UX in the last year or two. And what embedded wallets do for anyone learning about them for the first time is, instead of needing to leave an application that you're onboarding to, let's say you're trying to buy an NFT, instead of downloading another wallet app or extension and coming back, you can just create a wallet in the context of your onboarding. And so it's this more simplified kind of app-owned UX. And that element is really important to us at Capsule. It's like making sure that as an application builder, you are in control of what the onboarding flow looks like, of the experience that your users have, and that your brand and your experience is front and center in that process. So kind of putting those two things together, that's where we get cross-app embedded wallets.
Okay, that's very, very, that explains a lot. So I guess the question that I have based on some of what you just kind of talked about was, right now, if I go from one application to the other, and I'm using MetaMask, for example, and all of these applications are EVM based in the sense of like that's the network that they're using, I can already kind of interrupt. Are you basically saying Capsule also supports other networks outside of the EVM, or do they also, or does it also maybe abstract the network switching that I'm currently having to deal with, or maybe both? As someone who hasn't actually, like, I built actually something with Capsule, but it's been a few months and I haven't done anything beyond kind of a basic Hello World, which was actually pretty nice. But yeah.
Of course, yeah. So the way I kind of think about Capsule at a very high level of what our mission is, it's to radically simplify interacting with blockchains. And so you mentioned a lot of the friction points in interacting with blockchains. It's what ecosystem am I in? Is it a Cosmos chain? Is it Solana? Is it an EVM? Is it EVM L1? Is it an L2? Is it an L3 now? A lot of those network switching kind of challenges we abstract away. So whether you're logging into Stargaze, one of our Cosmos customers, or Boost, one of our EVM customers, it's the same login experience and the same account notion that you're navigating. So we abstract a lot of that complexity. And even within EVM, the whole switching network side of it, one challenge that I guess another sort of reason why embedded wallets become so popular is people don't always want the pop-ups. And so kind of removing those pop-ups of switching the network, making sure that you're kind of at the right place at the right time, your assets are there, making a lot of that seamless. So it's cross-network, it's also cross-application and cross-ecosystem.
Awesome. So before we kind of like dive into any more questions and discussion, do you want to do a couple of demos? I know you said you may have brought a couple with you, and then I can kind of have more questions based on what I see there.
Let's do it. So I'll just give a bit of a description first. Okay. We're going to walk through a couple things. The first is just our standard onboarding experience. And we actually, I guess, slightly differently from some SDKs, we make it easy to provision both to kind of use Capsule as a standalone modal to create new wallets, but we also integrate with a lot of the wallet connector libraries that people know and love. So in the Boost example, where
by the way, I need to bring up your screen again, I think.
Oh, no worries.
There we go. Okay, cool. So Boost uses Capsule?
Yeah, exactly. So I figured just a live customer was going to be more fun.
Oh yeah, totally.
And so they have, this is RainbowKit, as you see. And so Capsule can just be a connector that you add on as a custom wallet. And so here what we'll see, we can use Google or X or Discord. We have a bunch more social logins, and this is all configurable to developers. You can also use Capsule as a standalone modal. We work with a bunch of any connector library that's WAGMI compatible. And so we really like to allow people to mix and match as well. But additionally, we also provide more of the all-in-one options as well. So there's lots of different ways to use Capsule. And then I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And here we just see that we're entering a social login, and then we're going to go ahead and use a passkey. And when I log into a new app, I can either kind of use the same wallet that I've already set up before. We also let people create a new wallet just for a specific app. So here we see that there's an existing wallet, but I can also create a brand new wallet if I want to. And this might be helpful if, let's say, I do want to keep a couple of things separate on the identity side. And then here I've logged in. And then from here, I can go ahead and like claim boosts and things like that. Lots of exciting functionality. And then all of these like assets that I claim, I can use via a Wallet Connect or via, even we have a partnership with MetaMask on this front. I can use them fully interoperably. So any application in crypto that supports wallet connection, you can bring these wallets to. And that was really important to us, was not kind of putting up walls with the ecosystem and how people can use our wallets. So the next kind of product I wanted to sort of showcase is a new feature that we've built recently called pre-generated wallets. And so this customer is named Chopin, and it's a really interesting, they're a really interesting showcase of pre-generated wallets. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff with on-chain Next.js. The way they're using Capsule is basically having a wallet under the hood for every action a user takes. So if I see here, I'm in incognito. I've never kind of visited the site with this session before, but I already have a wallet, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I love this app, by the way, and I've been following along with what they're doing. It's really cool that you all are working with them. But sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. Huge plus one there on the, yeah, we're really excited to be working with them as well. And so here, if I just go ahead and say, hello world, that's going to go ahead and actually show up on chain. And so what we've done here, I've never set up a wallet. I haven't gone through any onboarding, and I have a brand new wallet that I can do anything crypto with UX that the application completely owns. And so this is back to what we were saying with like external wallets versus embedded wallets. Is one thing that we are really excited about the embedded wallets is just letting the app really own exactly what they want with their user experience. And then you can actually like go ahead and reserve it with an email. This reservation process was something I wanted to chat a little bit about. So in the case of Chopin, they're using emails, but you can actually use pre-generated wallets with any identifier. And I think what's really interesting about this is you actually don't even have to log into an app to have a handle reserved or anything like that. So let's say that I wanted to build an app that gives an NFT to everyone who follows me on Twitter or X. What I could do is I could actually pre-generate a wallet to all of those X handles. And then as my friends or my followers come in, they can automatically claim their wallet. And that claim process is just exactly what we saw with Boost. So I can provision these wallets as people come into a site, like with Chopin, or I could do it beforehand in a batch script. And then as users come in, those wallets can just be claimed, and maybe there's an NFT waiting for them. So in terms of like where Web3 advantages can really stand out here, I can actually, in a really curated way, target the audience that I want to reach and have a wallet waiting for them with whatever I want in it as a developer. There's some really interesting stuff on the key management side, which I'm happy to go into around like how this all works and how we make sure that and how we kind of manage the ownership model. But as I think we're thinking a lot and talking a lot in the space right now about how does crypto break out from our current kind of group that is onboarded and crypto native and tries every new product. Pre-generated wallets is something that we've been really excited about as far as giving developers the tools to choose who they want in their application, whether or not they're on crypto already.
Yeah, this is really cool. And I think that there's tons of use cases that are like not financial that really, really make a ton of sense for this sort of thing. I think that the question that I have is that if the wallet is maybe generated on the fly versus pre-generated, what are the trade-offs? And this might be some naive question, but I'm just, as someone that's never really built anything in that fashion, I'm curious to maybe understand that a little better.
Absolutely. So within pre-generated wallets, there's the provision on arrival versus pre-allocate. The biggest difference is I think just how the wallets are going to be used. So an example might be if I want to mint 20 of an NFT and then have that in 20 wallets that are let's say the 20.
Right. And then the person can claim and they already have that. Okay, got it. That makes sense.
Exactly. You can sequence a lot of these things in a way that's pretty cool, or even kind of targeting to a specific handle is I think another.
Yeah, totally. Okay, now that like clicks really, really hard, and that's really cool.
I think we're getting to this stage in the space where there's so much possible and so much happening that's uniquely possible on crypto rails, and I think a lot of us are in this space because once we remove these UX barriers, the types of products that can get built are really, really exciting. And I think we're also kind of crossing this threshold where up till now, I think a lot of us in the space have thought about like, oh, it's so much harder to build on crypto. Like it's so much harder to attract a user base. I think we're going to see that flip to it's uniquely easy to access a set of users, or I get this big head start in user acquisition and growth if I choose to build on interoperable Rails, and making sure that we can do that while still having apps like own that relationship with their users. I think something at least I'm
Very
really
cool. I
excited.
love the optimism, and I agree. I think ultimately that's where we're headed. I think it's just a matter of time, and is it going to be a short amount of time or a long amount of time? I'm hoping it's a short amount of time. But no, this is awesome. I have a ton of questions. I'm trying to think of which direction I should go with this. But I think like just one general note on what you were just talking about is that when we're talking about the challenges of building, in Web3 and on chain, the biggest one other than scalability is essentially identity. And at the core of identity is what you all are kind of trying to tackle. And I think we're pretty spoiled in the Web2 space in terms of authentication mechanisms and how simple it is to kind of implement auth, and how mature access tokens and sessions and that technology is, and all the nuances around it are kind of fleshed out. There's still a little discussion around like how secure access tokens are versus sessions and things like that when you're talking to these developers that are building like full stack or maybe client side versus server side applications. But in general, you can find the answer and understand the nuance. But this is such a more like new and nuanced space, because you are kind of like bridging that gap between the externally owned accounts, which we kind of understand pretty well, and then abstracting that away into something that's more like a session or an access token type based model. And then there are the trade-offs there as well. Like, would you be okay with signing in with Google for this type of wallet if you have $100,000 in a hot wallet or something? Just curious, like, those sorts of things, and whether these are circumstances to consider the type of wallet that you use based on the use case and things like that. So I don't really have anywhere that I'm going with that. That's just some general thoughts that I have.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think we all see the convenience of Web2 authentication, and even that, right? It's changed a lot in the last like 7-8 years, where a few years ago it was a username and a password for every app, and I had to remember that username and password. And we've now kind of matured to a space where people can create their username password. They can also use something like an extension that pre-fills that for you, like Password Manager, or people can use SSO. So we've also seen, I think, that space mature alongside crypto maturing. But I think it's a huge point you brought up, where there's a big difference between someone being able to access your username password and do what in most cases are reversible actions with it, and then to compromise a wallet and to be able to drain it. And so for us, it's always been important that the security model doesn't rely on a single factor. And so what we saw earlier, it's a combination of social logins and passkeys. And the reason that passkeys are so important to our flow is that in order to actually compromise funds, you do need to compromise the user's device. And so you end up with a level of a level of security that's a little bit elevated, because the damage that can be done is also elevated. And then similar, I think the model of session access I think there's some parallels, and we do some interesting stuff on the MPC side that I think from like an academic perspective is like interesting in the context of like session refreshing and session extension and key rotation. There's a lot of parallels there. But I think the ultimate kind of notion here is that multiple factors, and then allowing people to add on 2FA, allowing people to kind of set up all of the access that they want to make sure that wallet's as safe as possible, I think is really important.
I just want to say I love passkeys now, and I'm starting to see them become more and more popular in a lot of the apps that I use. And the fact that they are not only better UX, but that they're potentially maybe more secure also is really cool. So I'm glad to know that you all are like, thinking about that in the sense of it's a first-class citizen, or even more than that, it sounds like.
completely agree. We're thinking through alternatives and rolling some stuff out. But for us, or for me, like passkeys at Capsule, like really go hand in hand, because if there's a password, you can lose the password. If there's a social login, that can get compromised. Like the passkey really is a way to not have to remember anything, but also to be able to store an extremely secure secret. And access and sign within an enclave. And so a lot of those properties are, I think, really, really special, and I think uniquely valuable for crypto as well, which is quite cool.
So in terms of the developer experience, when I tried using Capsule, it was very simple for me to get up and running with Hello World, which was awesome, and that's always really nice. I'm curious, what platforms are you focused on supporting, and maybe are there any future changes in terms of what type of support you're offering? And the last question might be around, is there like a pre-built UI versus a headless solution? And if you all are like planning to support both. So yeah, let's chat about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is almost like an age-old developer tools question. I think where it's so many of the tools, at least that I've used and know and love, you can see sort of the place that products start and then where they grow. The first version of Capsule was completely headless. And so we still have a fully headless solution. We still have a lot of folks that, especially on the mobile side, you can have an experience that's basically fully native to your app. Like all the components are yours, where the layout is, like all of that is just fully in the app's control. And I think especially for mobile, that's really important, and something that we continue to see folks take a lot of advantage of. And then on the website, we have a fully headless experience. There are definitely teams that use it. We also have that default modal that just is a way to kind of get up and running and then have a ton of customizability within it. And so we think that customization on that access is really important, like down to the CSS, to what social login methods, do I prompt for 2FA, a lot of those things. But then even for us, a step further of connector libraries and being adaptable to all connector libraries against the WAGMI standard is also really important to us. Where I think if you're a builder in this space, it's really not to the user's benefit or even the developer's benefit in some cases to put up walls around wallet access. And so for us, that's a first class citizen as well, is that even if someone is using another connector library to connect the MetaMask wallets, the Rainbow wallets, they can still use Capsule to provision new users, and that can be really easy as well. And so that's something we care a lot about. And then as far as platform support, on the mobile side, we support Swift, Flutter, and React Native. And then on the website, we support all React variants. So like React, Next, Vue, Vite. We do have a couple folks who've used Svelte before. And then we do have like a core vanilla JavaScript SDK as well.
Nice. That's a lot of support.
Oh, sorry?
That's a lot of support. That's good. That's awesome.
We were really intentional about how we structure the SDKs so that ideally we can, so let's say, for example, you're using the core SDK, there won't be access to React hooks. That'll be in the React SDK, but at least people can get as much as possible with their given framework.
So does that mean you have a fairly, large engineering team, or that is like maybe split apart into different focus areas, or are some of them like cross-platform developers? Just curious there.
Oh yeah, great question. We're a team of 9 and 6 engineers. So we're pretty lean. A lot of our feature development happens in core SDKs, and then we expose those to different client libraries.
Okay, nice.
So a lot of it is just JavaScript.
Yeah, so you have the JavaScript, and then you kind of build the React Native, and then you build, it makes sense. Okay, cool.
We do have some Go as well. A lot of the MPC work is done in Go. It's more performant as well.
Well, it sounds like you have some really talented devs.
100%. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's for sure.
Okay, awesome. So I have a couple of questions around you in starting this company and kind of why you decided to focus on this specifically. Yeah, I'm just curious how you got into crypto and how you decided to start your own company and why you decided to focus on this.
Yeah, absolutely. As I lightly alluded to earlier, my first journey in the space was actually through. There was a little bit before that where I was really excited about Bitcoin as a college student and had gotten really excited about it in the context of distributed systems. But it was really after learning a lot about fintech and how the financial system works that I started to get excited about crypto. And a lot of that was things like learning about how credit systems work, how it's really difficult for certain people to get access to loans, not based on anything but like some arbitrary factors that people decided are important many years ago and in kind of a closed room. And just seeing a lot of that really helped me understand the foundational impact to society that open systems could have. And I think finance was really how I got that introduction, but I've now just seen those applications across things like funding with DeFi, ownership, creators being able to build their audience, just people being able to have more ownership and what that can do for society. And with Capsule, so much of the motivation was working on a wallet actually, and realizing that this self-custody layer, one, building it in-house or like building it on the way to building a product is a lot more than maybe most teams might want to do. And wouldn't it just be nice if that building block existed? It's a combination of that. And then realizing that there was really an opportunity to bring together the best of crypto, so ownership, portability, along with kind of a user experience that people are familiar with. And in that, kind of solving a much bigger problem, which is actually portable identity across the internet. And that's something that in terms of kind of how the early team came together, like how all of us think about the space, I think something that we're really motivated by.
It's awesome. So in terms of being a founder, have you ever founded a company before? Or is this kind of your first shot?
This is my first experience founding. Have been early on a couple of teams, have helped kind of spin out teams before. But yeah, this is the first shot.
So how has that experience been?
It's been really amazing. As you kind of mentioned earlier, the Capsule team is incredible. And so I think in terms of being able to just like be really energized about how I'm spending my time every day. I get to spend my time with an incredible team. Capsule's customers are also folks who are usually thinking about kind of crypto in an expansive way of like, how can I leverage this building block to unlock a new internet experience and unlock something better. And so in terms of like people you get to spend your time with, like these are the folks that I get to talk to every day. So I really couldn't imagine much better in terms of being able to spend my time. And I think there's something to like when you ship a new feature, knowing who it's going to impact and how it's going to impact that developer, that company, their users, their growth. It's just extremely motivating to be in an opportunity to be able to just push this space that I and like so many others on our team like really, really love and care about.
So in terms of like some of the Web3 or blockchain use cases that you're really excited about, what are some of those areas that you think are going to actually, everyone, and we've talked about this to the point where it's kind of a meme now, onboarding the next X number, whatever that number is based on the person saying it. But yeah, what are some of the areas that you think are going to be accessible to build applications in order to kind of bring in the average person that isn't like a crypto person? And I do think that a wallet experience like what you have is going to be a huge part of that, to be honest. And then you have to kind of then think about, I guess, the backend infrastructure in terms of some low cost way to transact. But yeah, just curious what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple of experiences that, or areas of the space that I'm really excited about are stablecoin payments. It's still like, it's very close to my heart. Yeah, right. Like, and in terms of actually being able to have someone receive money and own money, like I think there's different contexts everyone's from where that has been easy to do or difficult to do. But getting to a place where people can can kind of access value that's really broadly useful, I think we're getting really close. So that's, I think, one area that I continue to be very excited about. I've been getting really excited about communities and bringing communities on chain. And to your point of the onboarding the first billion users, like our variation of that at Capsule is a billion transacting users, where it's not just that they have an address and that's the end of it, but there's actually actions that they're taking or things that they own that are on chain. And so that's kind of our North Star is right, a billion transacting users. And so, yeah, I think payments is a big example there. I've been really excited about a lot of stuff in SocialFi as well. There's some stuff, this is actually happening in Web2 and FinTech as well, but the intersection of social graphs and finance is really cool, where there's things like investing groups or like copy trading. And a lot of those primitives are uniquely interesting and uniquely valuable on chain. And so a lot of stuff there. And then definitely some really cool stuff in the gaming space as well, where I'm not a person who's played a lot of Web2 games, but it's been really cool to see some really fun games come on chain and to be able to kind of take advantage of that.
Yeah, agree with a lot of what you said for sure. I'm super excited about the payments was 50% of the reason I kind of got excited about this whole space in terms of like stable coins. And then the other 50% was kind of around just public open infrastructure, which is essentially a lot of the stuff I get to work on now, which is pretty cool. But no, this has been really, really great. I guess to wrap things up, what are some of the things that Capsule is going to be focused on over the next 6 to 12 months?
Absolutely. We're spending a lot of time on developer experience, both for teams that are kind of using a single ecosystem, but also across different ecosystems. So that's been a big focus. Mobile is also a big focus for us, and just making that first experience as well as kind of the using all of the different bells and whistles of our SDKs, like making all of that really easy. And then we're also doing a lot of interesting stuff coming up around giving users more choice and flexibility in how they connect their wallets or how they use Capsule. And so that looks like I mentioned the multiple wallets and being able to select a wallet going into an app. And then there's a bunch of other really cool stuff on that kind of work stream that we're working on as well. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
I think that's kind of a summary.
There's a lot. Someone asked, any plans to support any ZK chain? And I'm assuming you might already support some ZK chains.
Yeah, we do. So any EVM chain we support. So we definitely have folks using Capsule on ZK Sync. There's definitely others as well, but any EVM chain we support.
Okay, great. So I think we're getting close to wrapping up, and I just wanted to say again, thank you for your time coming on here and talking about Capsule. And for anyone that came through, check this out. Thank you. If you missed some of this, it's going to be up on the YouTube, the Eigenlayer YouTube channel later. But for anyone that's a developer that's watching, what are the places that they would need to go to either start building with Capsule or maybe get developer support or ask questions?
Absolutely. So the easiest way to get kind of onboarded into our developer portal is just use capsule.com/API. And that's just the big button on our website as well, which is just use capsule.com. You can always feel free to DM us on Twitter or Warpcast as well, where we're use Capsule, and then my handle is just _ NITYAS. And so you can feel free to just reach out to any of us directly or via that onboarding form.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. It was really great to sit down and chat with you. We've been chatting in DMs here and there, so we kind of got to dive in a lot deeper today.
Likewise. Thank you so much for trying out Capsule as well. And thanks so much for having me.